Please give rise to bodhicitta, thinking I will establish all mother sentient beings at the level of perfect, complete enlightenment. To that end, I will listen to this profound Dharma and put it into practice. The Dharma we're speaking of today is at torchlighting the way to freedom. Complete instructions on the preliminary practice of the profound and secret heart essence of the Dakini. This is comprised of the virtuous beginning, middle, and end. Having covered the virtuous beginning, we're now looking at the virtuous middle, the main body of the text, which is comprised of two parts: how to follow a spiritual friend, the route of the path, the main explanation of the status for setting out on the path. We've covered the first, we're looking at the second, which is comprised of two further sections: the general preliminary practice for each session, and the specific preliminary practice for the yogas of the two phases. We've covered the first, we're looking at the second, which is comprised of two subsections. First of all, the common preliminaries that cultivate the field of one's mind stream with the four practices for turning the mind. Secondly, the uncommon special preliminaries that sow the seeds of the profound path in 5 stages. We've covered the first, the 4 common preliminaries of the 4 mind changings. We're now looking at the second, the uncommon special preliminaries in 5 stages. This is comprised of, first of all, taking refuge the entrance to the path, arousing the mindset on enlightenment, the root of the whole path, purifying unfavorable conditions on the path, the meditation of Vajrasattva, gathering favorable conditions on the path, the Manjala offering, and training in Guru Yoga, the heart of the whole path. We've covered the first 4, and we're now looking at the 5th. We're almost finished, so we're looking at the 5th of the special preliminaries, training in Guru Yoga and receiving the teacher's blessings, the heart of the whole path. This itself is comprised of 2 main points: the general points to be understood and clarifications of the points of training in this case. We've covered the first, and today we begin clarification of the points of training. In this case, this is the last section of the text, the main body of the text. So once we finish this, we will have finished the text. So tomorrow we will, after this section, then the text concludes with some closing advice in the colophon, which we'll cover tomorrow. So today we'll finish the main body of the text. And everything has gone really well. No obstacles intervened. No one got sick, or no one got seriously sick. A lot of people got some colds. I also got a bit of a cold, a sore throat and so on, but nothing too serious, nothing that brought the teachings to a halt. So we've been able to complete these teachings smoothly, genuinely, without any obstacles. So sometimes obstacles do intervene. Strange things like COVID in the past, or conflicts and the like. As I said, when the Dharma is profound, obstacles become profound, so obstacles sometimes do arise and interrupt our Dharma practice or giving and receiving of teachings. But we've managed to avoid all obstacles this time. So now we come to the last section of the text here, the clarification of the points of the training in this case, which means applying an explanation of Guru Yoga as practiced in this specific Ngondro, and how to visualize and so on during the various parts of the liturgy. So we begin the Guru Yoga in the Kanto Duktik Ngondro. The Sate Ngondro begins with Emma-ho, one's perceptions are perfectly pure, the absolute Buddha field, the unexcelled, and so on. This is on page 263, this liturgy. So going back to 261, begin by arousing the mind, internal supreme enlightenment, begin by arousing bodhicitta, thinking in order to establish all beings who pervade space, and so on. So we've actually talked about this in detailed already in the past. There's some background noise up, but it seems like it's not coming from our speakers. Anyway. So in short, all of these 5 preliminary practices we engage in are all done with bodhicitta, motivated by bodhicitta. Without bodhicitta, one cannot practice Hatha Yoga, the great perfection. To practice the great perfection presumes that one has bodhicitta. It goes without saying that one has bodhicitta when practicing the great perfection. You can't practice it without bodhicitta. So, just as in all of the other preliminary practices here at Guru Yoga, we begin by arousing bodhicitta, strengthening our bodhicitta thinking. For the sake of all mother beings, show me so much kindness, who wish for nothing but happiness and wish to avoid suffering, and yet nevertheless, because of their ignorance, end up creating suffering for themselves and destroying their own happiness. With unbearable compassion for all of these mother beings, limitless mother beings, I will practice the profound path of the Guru Yoga in order to establish them at the level of enlightenment, free of suffering. So we say the level of the union Vajradhara. So this is a tantric term for Buddha, the perfect Buddha. We talked a bit about the meaning of this term previously, so we won't say more here. In short, we're saying we will establish all sentient beings at the level of perfect Buddhahood, myself and all other beings. And to that end, I will train in Guru Yoga. This is the profound path from among all paths, among all paths and practices is the most profound. Guru means Lama, teacher. And the word Guru has the connotation of bearing a heavy load of qualities, being heavy with qualities. So it means heavy with qualities, excellent qualities. Qualities of the profound path of generation and completion, of all enlightened qualities. And actually all qualities, qualities of expertise in all 5 areas of knowledge, all qualities outer, inner and secret. So what we mean by all qualities outer, inner and secret, well, you can read about this in more detail in scriptures like Treasury of Precious Qualities, Jigme Treatise. These days, that's actually what Lama or Guru means. These days the word is just used so commonly to refer to anyone wearing robes and carrying one of those bags from Taiwan, one of those shoulder bags. The word is used so lightly. It almost has like so if a Kempo or someone Kempo is called Lama, it'll be taken as like a sign of disrespect, you know. But actually, there's no greater, heavier word than Lama. This is just how the word has become to be used these days in kind of common parlance, very lightly, very loosely, to refer to pretty much any practitioner, no matter who they are. That is not what Lama really means. Lama means Guru, one heavy with all excellent qualities, endowed with all excellent qualities. As I said in the Tantras, the Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dhamma, the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the embodiment of all. The Guru is Vajradhara. So, if you accomplish the Guru, you accomplish all. Yoga means to train in that. The word yoga or nalja in Tibetan actually means to conjoin with the natural state, unite with the natural state. So that by means of the stages of generation and completion, or the great perfection. That's the state of those practices, is what we mean by normal, natural state. And jor refers to actually training from one's own side, training in that state. So training in order to bring yourself to that state. That's the meaning of yoga, or no jor in Tibetan. So, train in the profound path of the Guru Yoga. I will train in, it's a uniting myself with the state of the Guru. The Guru who is the sovereign of the Mala, the sovereign of the mandala, the Guru who embodies the entire mandala. And as I've said, and as the text here says, one must, at the outset, rouse bodhicitta. The practice Guru Yoga must be infused with bodhicitta. So when you practice the two stages for great perfection, and you do so with bodhicitta, it's like you could say it's like the icing on the cake. So, I'm not sure that's a good translation. Rinpoche is using the example of different types of butter and delicacies to illustrate this. So you have a perfect cake, and then you have the perfect icing on top. It's just perfect perfection on top of perfection. On the other hand, equally, if you practice the two stages of generation completion, or you practice the great perfection, but you are lacking bodhicitta, well, then that practice will not be effective. That will not be genuine tantric practice. Without bodhicitta, our practice cannot lead to enlightenment, right? As we've said again and again, whatever practice we do, it must be done with the three excellences. So the excellent preparation of bodhicitta, and then the excellent main part free of concepts. So that would be the practice of Guru Yoga itself. And then the excellent conclusion of dedication, dedicating all the merit, virtue accumulated to enlightenment for all beings. So Trishul Rinpoche has mentioned that at the beginning of all of these chapters, Trishul Rinpoche has mentioned again and again the importance of giving rise to bodhicitta at the outset. Then of course we have the main part of practice, and then dedicating. He's emphasized this again and again. We find the same emphasis in the words of my perfect teacher, and then in all-knowing Longchenpa's trilogy of resting the mind. There are more than 100 different types of meditation practice is taught there, and in every single one, Longchenpa says you must do this infused with the three excellences, infused with three excellences. He says it again and again, until your ear is burning. Well, this is just because it's so important. These points are repeated because they're so important. They are indispensable. So, rousing bodhicitta, one visualizes everything around you. So you visualize everything around you, the whole environment, as a puram, short, a pure Buddharam. Everything you perceive around you. So everything you see. So here our environment is Ramiti, this part of Bodhana. Nepal, beyond Ramiti, the whole of Kathmandu Valley, whole of Nepal, basically the entire world, the subcontinent, Asia, the entire world. We need to visualize all of this as a pure environment. As it says, it's the unexcelled city of lotus light. So, our translation reads, your whole environment. More literally, we could say, wherever appearance pervades. So appearance or experience, we could say, wherever appearance or experience pervades. That basically refers to space, and that is immeasurable, right? Infinite and immeasurable. All appearances are emptiness, right? Their very nature, true nature is emptiness. So everything that appears is emptiness. The entire environment is by its very nature originally emptiness. We perceive this whole appearing yet empty environment as far as space pervades as the unexcelled city of lotus light. Unexcelled means, what's the Sanskrit for this? Is akanishta, which refers to the pure, perfect realm of the Buddhas, a realm that is unsurpassed, unexcelled, whose attributes are arranged and arrangement are all perfect and complete. This refers to the qualities of the mandala. So the qualities of ground, path and fruition are all present within the mandala. When we talk about the 7 types of mandala, we talk about the mandala of reflection, superior reflection, mandala of reflection. Refers to the mandala that is arranged, for instance, when giving empowerment. When empowerment is granted, we arrange a mandala. This is what we call the reflection empowerment. The superior reflection empowerment is the mandala that we... So sorry, actually, I have to backtrack and correct myself. The reflected mandala of reflection is, for instance, the external appearing mandala, say, glorious copper-colored mountain of Ngondro with the lotus-like palace. So representations of the mandala, such as Guru Rinpoche's pure realm, are called the mandala of reflection. And we have the mandala of superior reflection, which is the mandala erected when empowerment is granted. Then we have the mandala of samadhi, which is the mandala that we generate during our own practice. We generate the deity and so on. Then we have the mandala of superior samadhi, which is the natural state itself, awareness itself, the subtle channels, winds and essences. The natural mandala, and so on. So there are 7 types of mandala that are enumerated in the text. So all of these attributes are perfect and complete in the unexcelled city of lotus light. So we're talking about Guru Rinpoche's pure realm here, the pure realm of the glorious copper-colored mountain, in which the celestial mansion is called the Palace of Lotus Light. Here, so here Guru Rinpoche, with his manifestations of 3 kayas, are vividly present together with Khandri Sogyal and so on, the 20 heart disciples, all of the Vidyadharas. This entire mandala of enlightened beings are present here. The word city conveys city. It doesn't mean a sort of ordinary city, like a great cluster of houses, a crowded place with dirty air and so on, and a lot of busyness, like our ordinary cities. But it refers to the mandala here. So this unexcelled mandala, the Palace of Lotus Light, Guru Rinpoche's glorious copper-colored mountain, with all attributes and arrangement of the mandala perfect and complete. And Jigme Lingpa's explanation of, or Jigme Lingpa's prayer to be reborn in the glorious copper-colored mountain. You can find detailed descriptions of the glorious copper-colored mountain. Likewise, in Juju Rinpoche's prayer to be reborn in the glorious copper-colored mountain. And these and other prayers, you can find excellent detailed descriptions of this pure realm. But if we were to go through those details, the entire session would go just on explaining that. But you can read more about what this pure realm looks like from prayers such as the ones I've mentioned. You can think, generally speaking, this palace is an exquisite mansion, like the most beautiful hotel or mansion in the world. There are these buildings that are exquisite and luxurious and beautifully built, right, with exquisite architecture and decorations and so on. I haven't really been to places like that, but they do exist, right? So as a reference point, you could think of something like that. You visualize yourself in the middle, and you are in your ordinary. So if you visualize yourself in your ordinary form, so as like Pemariksa with his ordinary body, then your obscurations will not be purified. We can also say, in the past, there were snow lions. Seems snow lions are now extinct. Snow lions whose milk is extremely potent and could not be contained by common vessels. Either it said that it could only be contained by a golden vessel. If you put it in, say, a clay vessel, the vessel would crack, or it would just leak out. And I often wondered, was that really true, But it seems this actually kind of applies. Like if you have a really potent liquid, you need a specific kind of vessel, right? Like to preserve that liquid properly. But anyway, all of this is being said in relation to visualizing yourself in your ordinary form versus visualizing yourself in a divine form. 나와 같이 지송들 그도 소소표스 꼭 가는 마도 뭐 틀림죠 신나다 가와 어디 빠고 신다고만 되게 많았어 지역이 뒤 뒤에서 이주도 뒤 대만 가서 있는 거 그냥 딱 되신다 이 지역 주서 에버기 버리지 그랬습니다 얘는 다 뒤에 가는 있는 돈 드레스 이거 다 나라서 여러 좀 뒤지고 뒤에서 맨날 지역 그런 게 뒤 머리띠 실루띠 그런 거 받고 나오는 게 되게 짠짠 말로 뒤마다 가와서 짠 So we should give the example of the fat of a specific kind of animal. Anyway, the point is that to receive just like to hold and preserve very special, very special liquid, you need a special kind of vessel. Then likewise, to receive the blessings of Guru Rinpoche, then you need to visualize yourself in a fitting form, right? A form that is, we could say, worthy of those blessings. So that's why when practicing Guru Yoga, we visualize ourselves as Khandra Yeshe Sogyal. Khandra Yeshe Sogyal was the heart disciple, the closest disciple of Guru Rinpoche, and she was Guru Rinpoche's consort. He says some people might think, why do I you might wonder if this is something to do with gender discrimination. So sorry. There is talk about gender discrimination, and it's true. You know, when you look at, say, Tubus, then the vast majority are male. There is this imbalance. But that said, within Tibetan society, even 1,000, 2,000 years ago, there have been some women who just unsurpassable, more superior and outstanding than any man. Ngondro Sogyal is one such figure. She's universally acknowledged as a supreme figure, pretty much on equal standing as Guru Rinpoche herself, and there's no other figure in Tibetan history who has such a standing, who is so highly revered and acknowledged. So it is definitely true that the vast majority of Tubus and teachers and masters in Tibet have been male, but there are a few figures like Ngondro Sogyal, and then Majik Labdrin, and a few Teretans, one of whom was Dujun Rinpoche's guru, extremely accomplished women who are really acknowledged and revered. So anyway, we visualize ourselves as Ngondro Sogyal, who was a Tibetan princess, who was the queen, one of the queens of King Chusan Detsen. When Guru Rinpoche came to Tibet, the king offered his queen Yeshe Sogyal to Guru Rinpoche, and she became Guru Rinpoche's consort and his, we can say, his supreme closest disciple. So Guru Rinpoche came from India, but Yeshe Sogyal was Tibetan, a Tibetan girl. So anyway, I say this too. It is true that whether it be Tibet or India or most countries are patriarchal societies, and women have a higher. Most countries are patriarchal societies, and historically men have been valued more than women. But in Tibet we do have these exceptions, these extraordinary, unsurpassable, unequaled exceptions, like Ngondro Sogyal, who were not only supremely accomplished women, but also supremely revered. So women, female practitioners, need not feel at all discouraged or disheartened. We visualize ourselves as Ngondro Sogyal, supreme disciple, supreme Dakini and consort. What does she look like? So we do this, as I said, to give rise to the primal wisdom of bliss emptiness, to make the auspicious connection of receiving guidance from the teacher. So to help us receive the blessings, be a vessel for receiving Guru Rinpoche's blessings. We visualize ourselves as his consort and heart disciple, Yeshe Sogyal. She's standing on a lotus, sun disk and corpse seat. She's red in color, red like a ruby. She's in the form of Vajrayogini, Soya Kachowamo. So this is Ngondro Sogyal taking the form of Vajrayogini, or Kachowamo, which basically means Vajrayogini. Kachowamo is Tibetan, Vajrayogini is Sanskrit. So one's root guru is taking the form of Guru Rinpoche, oneself is taking the form of Yeshe Sogyal, in the form of Vajrayogini. She's clear red in color. So when it says clear red, so in Tibetan it is marasal, so red, clear, in that order. Sometimes you have the similar, you have a karasal, which means white, clear. So it means the base color is red, and it's very translucent, clear, radiant. So if it was karasal, white, clear, so it would be white but very clear and radiant. It also means a bit light. not pale, but light and clear. So clear red is a good translation. She's semi-wrathful. So peaceful, but also wrathful. She's smiling, but also kind of frowning. This is difficult. Seems difficult for Thanga painters to convey this expression, semi-wrathful. Either they end up painting the face of the deity fully peaceful, like Buddha, Shakyamuni, or fully wrathful, like Hayagriva, a wrathful deity. Semi-wrathful, this semi-peaceful, semi-wrathful, sort of smiling yet frowning at the same time. It's challenging, but it can be painted very beautifully. Anyway, this is the expression she has. It's an extremely attractive expression, very captivating. So however you look at her, she's just absolutely captivating, stunning, entrancing. She's smiling. She has a charming smile. Her string of teeth are white as moons. When you smile, your teeth show a bit, right? So her teeth are bright white, with the foreshoots of her canine teeth slightly bared. Just a little bit. Not completely bad like a wrathful deity, just very slightly. The three eyes full of devotion are staring longingly at the teacher's heart. Staring longingly at the teacher's heart. Really longing, hoping, yearning for the Guru's heart, to see the Guru, to meet the Guru. She has the appearance of a fully bloomed young woman of 16 years of age. So, she has this beauty of youth. She's in the prime of youth. Fresh and glowing, with her swelling breasts and fully developed secret lotus. So that's actually some things that we should mention here, but at the same time, maybe we shouldn't mention them. But the secret lotus, the Bhaga, in Tibetan, so a fully developed secret lotus, this word fully developed also has the connotation of sort of opening up. So these days sometimes Thanga painters are misinterpreting this and painting the Dakini's Bhaga in a very vulgar and just incorrect way. So as like an open lotus, the open Bhaga, that's not what's meant by fully developed secret lotus by this term. So it's really important that the deities are painted correctly and that their descriptions are understood correctly. Because these days you find a plethora of incorrect Thangas, deities with 3 eyes where the scriptures state they have just 2 eyes, or a fully developed Bhaga being painted as a sort of swollen and open Bhaga, which is absolutely not what is meant. And even in major monasteries, you find the Bhaga being painted like this, which is really, it's a mistake, and it's a mistake. Yeshe Tsogye has two hands. The right one brandishes a copper curved knife at the level of her right ear. So brandishes mean, we could say, sort of flicked up. The brandishes is a good enough translation. It means sort of holding it up as if to display it slightly. The curved knife symbolizes severing, self-clinging, severing fixation on the self and on reality. The skull cup symbolizes the realization of the natural state, the attainment of accomplishment through realizing the natural state. So banda is the Sanskrit word. It means vessel, but in this context it means a skull cup vessel. So, as translated here, so Yeshe Tsogye holds in her left hand a skull cup filled with nectar, and she holds it on her hip. She's trampling on the heart center of a corpse with her two legs in the striding posture with her left leg slightly extended. This is another thing that our translation here is very good and correct. But this posture, striding posture with the left leg slightly extended, is often painted with the deity sort of one leg in mid-air, or the palm, the sole of the foot up. This is probably not what's meant. Khenpo Daso Rinpoche would explain that, as you see in some of the very old sanghas, Vajrayogini, one leg is just slightly lifted up, off the ground. So here it says extended, because Khenpo Daso Rinpoche explained it to be slightly lifted up, just slightly raised off the ground. So these points are important. These days you find a lot of tankas of Vajrayogini and so on, where this striding posture is painted as her leg fully raised off the ground and the sole of the foot revealed. These seems to be just every Khenpo's and Trupo's personal interpretation of the descriptions the descriptions of the deity. All the artists, especially Bhutanese artists, they're very skilled, and so sometimes they get carried away by their skill and just make these innovations. But that's not correct. What's meant is, by the striding posture, is one leg just very slightly raised, not even raised off the ground, just lifting up. When you look at very old tankas, then you see this striding posture painted just as Khenpo Daso Rinpoche explained. So, if there is a tanka, say, that was painted or commissioned by Kyabje Jujun Rinpoche, one of the great masters, and they specifically said to illustrate the striding posture, with the deity's foot raised up and the sole of the foot showing, then of course I would not refute that. Of course, if a great master like Kyabje Jujun Rinpoche commissions a tanka and, has the deity painted in a slightly unusual way, well, that's due to their pure vision, right? That's completely authentic. There's no issue with that. But if it's the case of just someone misinterpreting the scriptures, or a painter just adding in their own innovations, that's not okay. Painters must always root their work in the scriptures, the descriptions of the deity found in authentic scriptures. You can't just copy an example, like copy another tanka, and then add in your own ideas. You need to be the artists need to always be referring to the authentic scriptures and following to the dot the descriptions of the deities found in the scriptures. So what I've said about the striding posture, I'm saying specifically with reference to the Dujum Tesa tradition. Like in Sokyut. Because you do see a lot of newly painted tankas of Sokyut Tuktik and other Dujum Tesa cycles, Dujum Tesa practices, which are incorrect and even vulgar. So anyway, we could talk more about this, but I'll leave it here. Half of her hair, the color of the zama flower, so jet black, is tied up and ornamented on top with a wish-fulfilling jewel blazing with light. Zama is a type of flower, and it has these very thin strands running down from it, maybe like thin stamens, long stamens, I'm not sure that's the correct word, but like strands of hair that actually flow down from it. So half her hair is tied up, and half of it flows down over her shoulders. Ornamented on the top with a wish-fulfilling jewel that's blazing with light. So that it can be very helpful to use an illustration of the deity as a support for your visualization, but that support meaning that illustration, that say a painting or sakli, meaning a miniature or a tanka. It needs to be correct, right? Painted by an expert painter, and correct, the proportions, attributes all need to be correct. So those painted by the older painters, older generation of painters, seem to be more authentic and trustworthy than the more recent paintings. She's graced with a jewel crown, embellished with bouquets of flowers. So a bouquet, 4, 5, 6 flowers all bound together, right? That's a bouquet of flowers, so not just a single flower. Of different colors. So bouquets of different colors, white, red, yellow, green, and so on. And then adorned with the 5 bone ornaments, wheel, earrings, bangles, necklaces, and girdle, all made of bone. So when it says necklaces here, it refers to the short necklace. A necklet, short necklace. The girdle is a belt, right? Bangles refers to the bracelets and anklets. The attire of peaceful deities and wrathful deities are different. At the level of Mahayoga, the peaceful and wrathful deities should have their individual attire. Peaceful deities do not don wrathful attire. Wrathful deities do not don peaceful attire. But at the level of Ati Yoga, the great perfection, so the deities can don both peaceful and wrathful attire. It says, the treasure of precious qualities, or perhaps another scripture where this is explained. So this text we're looking at, this practice, pertains to the Ati Yoga, the practice of great perfection. It's from that level of teachings. And hence we have this mixture of peaceful and wrathful attire here. So this matches the... We have this mixture of peaceful and wrathful attire because this is an Ati level practice. She has a short necklace of lapis lazuli, ruby, pearl. Forget what I said about necklaces and the 5 rune ornaments, meaning a short necklace. So the short necklace of lapis lazuli, ruby, pearl, and other precious stones. That means a short necklace or necklet, and then a long garland of many coloured flowers, lotuses, or the like. Her earrings are circles of gold marked with a bell. Her gold bracelets and anklets are little bells that tinkle like many necklaces that Indian women wear. Her silken headdress and scarves flutter and float around her. So, silken headdress, silken streamers adorning her crown, and then scarves fluttering and float around her. This refers to like a shawl, like a modern day shawl. Basically, a shawl. One cannot have enough of looking at her. She's just insatiable. She's so gorgeous and beautiful. She's insatiable. You just fall in love with her. As soon as you clap eyes on her, you fall in love with her. She's just that beautiful, that enchanting. You can never get enough of looking at her. Visualize her in a shimmering expanse of 5 bright coloured rays of wisdom light. She appears but has no intrinsic existence. She appears so beautifully, so exquisitely, and yet she has no intrinsic concrete existence. She appears just like a rainbow, vivid, clear and bright, but with no substantial existence, so shining brilliantly like a rainbow in the sky. This means really vivid, clear. So now we've visualized Ngondro Yeshitsogyo. And this is what the first section of the liturgy explains. So on page 263 we have the first part of the Guru Yoga liturgy, right? Among all one's perceptions are perfectly pure and so on. So from there down until and gazing longingly up into the skies, the first few lines describing Yeshitsogyo. So I am Tsogyo Kachawamo, clear red, and so on, up to and gazing longingly up into the sky. So everything we've covered describes these first lines of liturgy. Next, visualizing the sky in front of you on a level with the crown of your head, a palatial expanse of intermingled 5-colored rays of rainbow light. And a jewel throne borne by 8 great lions and so on. We also find other sadhanas lions held up by stallions, by elephants, and so on. And there are really profound, there are specific reasons for this. In Sikkim, recently some statues were built. Avalokiteshvara statue with a throne held up by some kind of, what looks like some kind of demonic children with gaping mouths. And actually very terrifying. And that is not the throne that Avalokiteshvara sits on. Sometimes the texts mention mention a kind of small child who's holding up the throne. They should be painted as like child sumo wrestlers, small and round and strong, but not like terrifying demonic children with fangs and bared mouths, which is how some statue in Sikkim has been built recently. It's absolutely terrifying when you see it, you know. It's just like quite horrific to see this throne. And then you have Avalokiteshvara sitting on this throne. It's totally incorrect as well. They built such a beautiful statue of Avalokiteshvara. And of course spent a lot of energy, not to mention a lot of money. But then there's this completely incorrect and also terrifying throne, inappropriate throne. So please, those of you from Sikkim, please convey this message back to the whoever's in charge of this statue. They've completely misinterpreted what's meant by throne held up by the small children. But actually, in any case, Avalokiteshvara should be seated on a lion throne, meaning a throne held up by lions. Anyway, if you want to learn about this in more detail, you should look in Longchenpa's Chokchu Munsa, his Guyogaba Tantra commentary. There are specific reasons for why a certain deity is seated on a certain throne, what the lions symbolize, what the stallions or elephants symbolize. All of these details hold profound meaning, so all of the details are important. Of course, the sculptors themselves are probably not to blame. They're just following instructions, right? But whoever was overseeing the project, the Kempo or the scholar overseeing the project, well, they've misinstructed the sculptors, right? So anyway, maybe in the future I won't get a permit to go to Sikkim. The ministers will ban me or something. This is a mistake. This big statue, it's a public statue. There's a public statue in Sikkim, has been made incorrectly, and it wouldn't be that difficult to fix it. Right? It'd be worthwhile fixing it. I've talked about this before, about this statue in Sikkim, and asked people to pass the message on, but I don't know that anything has been done. So, a throne borne by 8 great lions and covered with finest celestial cloth. On this is a cushion consisting of a multicolored lotus. So with overlapping petals. So it's like overlapping I think we could say overlapping layers of petals. You know, some flowers have these multiple layers of petals which are overlapping. Like that. That's what's meant by multicolored here, actually. So this word in Tibetan can also mean like multifarious. So with 100,000 petals in full bloom, on top of this flower is a sun disk, a moon disk, piled one above the other. So again, there's a lot to say about the lotus, the sun, and the moon disk, what they symbolize. These explanations can be found in Chokchu Munsa. Seated upon this seat is your kind root guru, the embodiment of all the Buddhas in the form and attire of Guru Pema Tujinsa. So, in essence, your root guru, taking the form of Guru Moshe, Fast. Okay, now a little joke, an anecdote to wake you up. It's a joke, but actually some of you probably do this. What I'm about to, the story I'm about to tell. The student was told by the teacher, visualize the guru on the crown of your head. They said, okay. Anyway, so the student went off and said, okay. Then he came back to the teacher and said, he said, like, you keep falling off. You keep falling off the head because your head is round, and so no matter how much I visualize you there, you keep falling. Right? The student totally misunderstood the instruction. Anyway, that's just a joke to wake you all up. Tsokya Dorje is the name for Guru Rinpoche when he was born. And that means the late-born one. And then Guru Rinpoche has other emanations, other names, right? We talk about the 8 names or 8 emanations of Guru Rinpoche. Names given to him at different points in his enlightened life. So Tujung Sal is one of these names. We're talking about Guru Rinpoche. White tinged with red. His color is white tinged with red. So a red hue. Like a conch coated with red varnish. So the base color is white, right? And the hue is red. Visualize him as a young boy of 8 years with the major and minor marks. So Yeshit Sogya was a youth of 16 years. 8 years. Guru Rinpoche is visualized as a guru of 8 years. What this means is he has the freshness of an 8-year-old. Like Guru Rinpoche had this quality up until his mid-60s or so. His skin, his complexion was so plump and soft and fresh, like an 8-year-old child. Guru Rinpoche had this quality. It was amazing, right up until his 60s. Just like the late Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, his hands were just utterly exquisite, right? You'd say some of the marks of an enlightened being. So we don't, when it says Guru Rinpoche, visualize him as a young boy of 8 years, but we don't mean literally an 8-year-old, but with this quality of freshness of an 8-year-old, adorned with the major and minor marks of the Buddhas, dignified, so with the major and minor marks, one of the words in Tibetan here means has this connotation of a great mass, a great dense mass of qualities. So like just a real wealth of qualities. Dignified, beautiful and majestic and blazing with light. He has a joyful face with a semi-wrathful smile. So again, peaceful and yet slightly wrathful. Guru Rinpoche must be visualized like this. So like Anyway, it seems this is challenging for painters to capture. He's staring at you with round, loving eyes. So not like eyes half closed, but so the eyes of a Namanakaya should be slightly not closed, but eyelids a little low, I could say. And Sambhogakaya eyes should be a little wider open. So Gurumshi's eyes should be staring in the sense of wide open, more open. So Gurumshi here is semi-wrathful. Let's say there are forms of Gurumshi from among the 8 emanations like Shakya who is peaceful, fully peaceful. So his eyes are also semi-wrathful. He gazes down directly at you. His right hand is in a threatening gesture, as Rimshi is showing. Holding a golden 5-pronged vajra at his heart. So you can see Rimshi making this gesture. The heart means the center of the chest, really. So the heart center means the center of the chest. So a lot of these details I mentioned today, they're important details for Tongan painters, but they're of course also important for those of us practicing visualization. His left hand on his lap, in the gesture of equanimity, so meaning left hand in the lap, the palm up, he holds a skull cup filled with wisdom ambrosia and the excellent vase of immortal life. So these days you should not do illegal things and take skull cups and kunglings, 5-bone trumpets across the border and so on. This is illegal, and you can get in a lot of trouble. So these are important ritual substances, skull cups and 5 wands and so on. But so it's important and good. This is good to have them because they are practice substances. But that said, these days it is illegal to take them overseas, to take them out of the country. But a lot of practitioners are still doing this. But you can get punished or fined, what have you, for this, and they can easily find what you're carrying with CCTV or X-ray. So once I was traveling in Singapore, and they wanted to open my bag and look through my stuff. I had a tiny Tamdong Gyalpo statue I'd been given. And somehow they were Anyway, all these different custom officials came along. Eventually the boss kind of came along and decided, I don't think this statue poses a threat to anyone's life and so on. So they let me through, but so much fuss and trouble, and a lot of threats. So best not to take the risk and illegally take skull cups and 5-bone trumpets overseas. You could end up even in jail. In the crook of his left arm, he's holding his consort Mandarava, hidden in the form of a 3-pronged Khatvanga. Up in Maratika. Gurumshi Mandarava is his consort. manifested the Vidyadhara of immortality. So this concert mandala that he holds in the crook of his arm in concealed form, the form of a Khatvanga. The latter, so this Khatvanga is a staff made from a water tree. So it's difficult to identify what's meant by water tree here. So usually water tree refers to very as our footnote says, a bamboo or plantain wood. It's kind of flimsy wood, but it probably refers to the hard black wood of the palm tree. So anyway, a hard wood. So it's not, he's not holding a staff made of banana tree wood or plantain tree wood. That is one meaning of the water tree. That's not what we're talking about here. A type of hardwood. On top of it is a crossed vajra. So one vajra crossed on top of the other. On top of this is a vase, a long life vase, symbolizing Guru Rinpoche has attained the Vidyadhara of immortality. On top of that, on top of the long life vase are 3 heads. A fresh head, a rotten head, and a skull, symbolizing the 3 kayas. So the fresh head Nirmanakaya, rotten head Sambhogakaya. Rotten head is not a good translation, sorry, but an older head Sambhogakaya and a bare skull Dhammakaya. 9 iron rings on the prongs. So on the prongs of the Khatvanga, the 3 prongs at the top hang 9 iron rings, and there are fluttering silk pennants embellished with these silk pennants are of 5 colors. They symbolize the 5 wisdoms. They're embellished with a Dhammaru, which wakes one from the sleep of ignorance. Bells and tinklers, they also symbolize waking one from the sleep of ignorance. They do the same thing as the Dhammaru. Or we could also say Dhammaru, the Dhammaru wakes us from the sleep of ignorance, and the bells and tinklers, we could say, emit the sounds of Dhamma that tame us and dispel our ignorance according to the individual needs of beings. We could think of it like that. On his body, he's wearing as the innermost layer the secret white diamond garment, like his undergarments, underpants, or undergarments, let's say. On top of it, a dark blue long-sleeved gown of the mantra vehicle, and followed by a red monastic robe figured with gold patra designs. I'm so sorry, dark blue long-sleeved gown of the mantra vehicle. And then red monastic robes. Red monastic robes, since Guru Rinpoche holds all 3 levels of vow. And he wears these various layers of robes to symbolize that. And outermost is a brocade cape, the color of power, meaning the color red. On this head is the beautiful and lustrous petaled lotus hat that liberates on sight, which is the hat Guru Rinpoche is most commonly wearing. Beautiful and majestic. This is the crown of all 5 Buddha families. He's seated with his 2 feet in the royal posture, with his left leg drawn in and right leg slightly extended, in a kind of very majestic and comfortable looking position. His dazzling form emanates infinite rays of the purest light, glows vividly with the majesty and splendor of the major and minor marks. So these infinite rays of purest light radiate out from his body towards all beings. His speech resonates with the soothing sound of the teachings in its 60 expansive qualities. These enlightened qualities, the 32 major and 80 minor marks, the 60 expressive qualities of enlightened speech, they are enumerated and explained in detail in treatises such as the Treasury of Abhidhamma. We won't attempt to go through those here, we just don't have the time. His body is clarity and depth inseparable, appearing and yet empty. So clearly appearing, clarity, and yet depth, the depth of profundity of emptiness. These are inseparable. His mind's clarity and depth inseparable. So depth here we could translate as profundity also. So the empty essence and clarity, the luminosity, unimpeded compassion. So clarity refers to those qualities of wisdom mind. Depth refers to the empty essence, empty aspect. That would be from the perspective of the great perfection. His mind, which is the inseparability of clarity and depth, is effulgent with the primal wisdom of knowledge, love and power. His voice is, to talk about his voice is like even more beautiful and melodious to hear than the most beautiful voice of the best classical Indian singer. You know, the voice of some of these singers just so enchanting and so pleasant to hear, and they have so many different qualities, you know. They can sing in different tones and notes and with different kind of textures, resonance. So this is his speech resonate. Gurumji's speech resonates with the soothing sound of the teachings in this way. With his one body, he pervades every one of the Buddha fields in the 10 directions. Each of his pores irradiate infinite Buddha fields. So as taught in the Prajna Paramita, while the very moment Guru Vajrayaksha was in teaching the Prajna Paramita in one location, at the very same time he was in another location, taking a different form, teaching a different retinue, a different teaching. The Prajna Paramita, this is taught in the Prajna Paramita teachings, which are so profound. So in this way he pervades every one of the Buddha fields in the 10 directions. His emanations, like the emanations of Buddha Shakyamuni, and all the Buddhas are endless, simultaneous, countless emanations. This is a beautiful, very short version of the story about Buddha's Ushnisha, or the Ushnisha, the crown protuberance, which is one of the signs of the enlightenment. So Buddha Shakyamuni had such a crown protuberance, of course. And one of his disciples wanted to measure his crown protuberance, trying to measure the proportion of Buddha's enlightened bodies. So he took a measuring tape, and but no matter how much he extended the measuring tape, he just could not get to the top of the Ushnisha, Buddha's Ushnisha. This was Moudgalyana, the disciple Moudgalyana, who was the supreme in the miraculous powers. Shariputra, on the other hand, was supreme in wisdom. Moudgalyana had miraculous powers pretty much equal to Buddha. And yet, when he tried to measure the Ushnisha, the measuring, he just could never get to the top of it. He carried on measuring and measuring and measuring. He ended up in heaven in the 33 realms. And he arrived up in Tushita, an even higher realm. He still hadn't reached the top of the Ushnisha. He was still measuring. He reached to Tushita, where Regent Maitreya, Buddha's Regent Maitreya, was teaching a retinue of great retinue of bodhisattvas. When Moudgalyana reached up there, he landed on the arms bowl of Buddha Maitreya. But in terms of size, he was like, from their perspective, he was like the size of a fly that might land on the tip of your teacup, you know. And so Buddha Maitreya said, "Oh, here, this sweet little disciple who has landed on my alms bowl, you know, it's like the size of a fly in their perception. He's one of the supreme disciples of Buddha Shakyamuni from the human realm." He said, "Oh, he's, you know, and then with miraculous powers, they made Moudgalyana the same size as them, same proportion, and so then he took on this great larger body and joined their retinue as Maitreya. Anyway, Moudgalyana reached to Tushita realm and had this experience, you know, met Maitreya and so on, when he was in his attempt to measure Buddha's Ushnisha. And he still, even when he was going to the highest God realms, he still didn't reach the top of it. So such, like they also have the a hair that grows between the Buddha's eyebrows. It spirals to the right. It looks like a tiny, just one hair. But if you pull this out to try and measure it, then it has no end. It's so long, extends so long that it can go around the entire world and still have no end. So all of these different qualities, dozens of qualities of the enlightened body, have these extraordinary qualities, and they're all ripenings or manifestations of expressions of enlightened qualities. Anyway, these things are described in much more detail in the scriptures. So in this way, with his one body, his one enlightened body, he pervades every one of the Buddha fields in the 10 directions. Like in one of the Avalokiteshvara. Like I said, Verochana. One practice generate Buddha Verochana, and just in the body of Verochana, our entire universes and pure realms. I'm just saying that our realm is said to be like just one small part of his alms bowl, or the equivalent of that, just very small, only just a small part of all of the realms contained within Buddha Verochana's bodies. In each of his pores are arranged infinite Buddha fields, perfect and complete, so like that. Like the body of Buddha Verochana, consider him like a magical display, actually embodying all the refuges, the 3 jewels and the 3 roots. So now let's go through the liturgy itself. In Maho, one's perceptions are perfectly pure. So actually I'll just read through these lines. All this section we've just been through, so from page 261 until this point, was a description of the lines of liturgy below. So here, one's perceptions are perfectly pure. The environment is pure, the unexhaled realm of great bliss, the city of lotus like Guru Rinpoche's pure realm. In the center of this, I am Tsogyal Kasho Wangmu, Tsogyal, Shitsogyal, taking the form of Vajrayogini, clear red, beautiful, major and minor marks, holding curved knife and skull, adorned with multicolored silks and jewels. No need to say more about this, we've already described this in detail. Standing in the striding posture on a seat of lotus on a corpse, human corpse, gazing longingly up into the sky, with longing and yearning to encounter Guru Rinpoche's wisdom mind. In the sky in front, in an expanse of rainbow lights, on a seat of lotus. So that's how we chant these lines. My teacher in the form of the lotus born. So the lotus is a symbol of non-attachment. So just like the lotus symbolizes non-attachment, every aspect of the visualization has symbolic significance. They also connect to their outer, inner and secret meanings or layers to all of these parts of the visualization, like the lotus. The sun and moon can also relate on an inner sense to the central right and left channels, and so on and so forth. So actually we've already covered these points, right? My teacher in the form of lotus-born Padmasambhava. How does he look? Well, we've just been through this. His body is white tinged with red, radiant, majestic, a mass of glowing light. He whose majesty overrules all that appears and exists. We jump down a few lines. The nature of his body pervades all the body fields, infinite pure lands that complete in the expanse of his body. He's the great being who embodies all refuges. He is the refuge and protector for this and all lives to come. With this visualization, ordinary thoughts should cease by themselves. So when you generate this visualization, you should be filled with such devotion, so captivated by your faith and devotion in Guru Rinpoche that all other thoughts are brought to a halt. From your heart center, meaning you are Yeshitsogya, right? So from Yeshitsogya's heart center, imagine inconceivable light rays of devotion stream forth into the palace of lotus light. This is the celestial mansion in Guru Rinpoche's pure realm. Unexhaled land of Chamara. Chamara is the name of the continent. Lotus light is the name of the mansion. Who is in this palace of lotus light? It is the great Guru, Mahaguru, Guru Rinpoche, who is none other than one's root Guru, the embodiment of all Buddha families. So we're talking about how you actually practice when you're doing the Guru Yoga practice in the Ngondro, right, and accumulating the Vajraguru mantra, okay? So when you get to this part of the practice, in the future, you should be clear about how to do it. This is what we're talking about now. Okay? So you visualize yourself. You visualize the pure realm yourself as Khanda Yeshitsogya. Before you, Guru Rinpoche, you visualize light rays radiate out to Guru Rinpoche, who was seated in his celestial palace of lotus light in his pure realm on the continent of Chamara. You pray to him with devotion, and with these rays of light, you are inviting Guru Rinpoche to come and be present before you. You might wonder, but can such an invitation actually work? Like, well, does this actually function? It 100% will work. If you supplicate Guru Rinpoche, if you supplicate the Buddhas, they will respond with their compassion and wisdom and come right before you. With their unimpeded vision and ability, they'll appear before you that very second. Immediately he knows that the time is right for blessing the minds of his fortunate disciples, and in an instant he arrives along with his retinue of thousands of millions of knowledge holders. So To jump back to the unexcelled land, unexcelled Akanishta. There are different realms of Akanishta, the Akanishta of the desire realm, of the form realm. But here, unexcelled realm is referring to the pure realm, the Buddha realm. So there are to clarify, there are realms within the universe, within cosmology. The samsaric realms called unexcelled or Akanishta, but the Akanishta we're talking about here, or unexcelled land we're talking about here, is a pure realm of the Buddhas beyond samsara. So it's from here that we are supplicating and inviting Guru Rinpoche. If you supplicate Guru Rinpoche, if you supplicate the Buddhas, there is no way, they will always respond with their blessings. Guru Rinpoche's mind is like the sky, it pervades everywhere, so from wherever you supplicate him, he will respond and bless you, he will come. There's no near and far with Guru Rinpoche. It's not that you're closer to him here and farther away from him if you're in America or someplace. As Juninobu Rinpoche would say, Guru Rinpoche's mind is like space. His mind is everywhere, it pervades everywhere. Guru Rinpoche is everywhere. So he comes surrounded by a retinue of millions of knowledge holders, Vidyadharas, like the 8 Vidyadharas of India, the great Vidyadharas, 8 great Vidyadharas of Tibet, Dakas and Dakinis, for males and females, like clouds gathering thickly in the sky, or the swirling snow in the blizzard. There are beautiful, evocative lines of invitation in the Shengshi Pema, maybe from the 4th chapter of the Leo Dunma, the prayer to Guru Rinpoche in 7 verses. Beautiful lines which describe all the male deities coming, like shimmering in the sky, the female deities coming, shimmering in the sky. Like clouds gathering thickly in the sky, or the swirling snow in a blizzard. So they Guru Rinpoche and millions of Vidyadharas, millions of Dakas and Dakinis swirling around, filling the sky. They come before us. Imagine this, and then we stop here and dedicate the merit, and we stop for a break.